Hello and welcome to Powwow Nation Live. This is the show from PowWows.com. I'm Paul Gowder. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight, I've got an interview with two of the actors from the show Resident Alien. If you were with me a few weeks ago, you know I interviewed Gary Farmer, who's also in the show, and of course in other shows like Reservation Dogs and Smoke Signals and so much else. So tonight we've got an interview with two more of the actors, but first I do have just a couple of announcements. One, I'm back from Gathering of Nations, still trying to recover. You can see I got quite a mess behind me, still trying to unpack equipment, repack it because we are heading back out again next week. We'll be heading to Winnipeg for the Manitowoc Festival, while Michael Gabbard, the guy who streams more than I do nowadays, but Michael will be heading to another powwow. So look at our newsletter and social media. We'll have two powwows live next weekend. It's going to be really exciting, a lot of fun. Don't forget, you still have time to enter our contest. PowWows.com/win. You can enter to win this blanket. PowWows.com/win. We're giving away this blanket and two more, and some other prizes from 8th Generation. So thanks for 8th Generation for working with us. Super excited to partner with them again. They produce such great stuff. Love their things. Let's see what else is going on. We've been working to update the powwow calendar, so lots going on there. Make sure you are subscribed. Again, subscribe to our newsletter, so that is where you will find all of the latest information. And a special shout out, I see some folks in the chat. Monica from Albuquerque, we were just here. Awesome, thank you so much. I just popped this up on screen. Tonight's show is sponsored by the Moving Forward Powwow out in Nevada. Sorry, I thought I had this size correctly, but here we go. PowWows.com. You can find out all about that. This is happening May 31st. They're going to have a special cultural night, and then the powwow itself will be June 1st and 2nd. You can see here they've got a great head staff. Lots of contests. Some of these specials are going to be really cool. Got a lot going on there. Don't miss this one. If you're in the Nevada area or out there anywhere in like the Four Corners area or out there in the Southwest, head over to this one because this is going to be pretty exciting. So appreciate them sponsoring tonight's show. Okay. Jeremy, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. Also want to give a special shout out to our patrons. These are the folks that are helping us and helping support the show here at PowWows.com. Thank you so much. If you want to join them and help support us, head on over to PowWowNation.com. All right. I want to get straight to the interview because we've got two interviews tonight, and I won't let them introduce themselves and tell you more about them and what they're doing. If you've watched Reservation Dogs, great, that's a good show. But if you watch Resident Alien, let me know in the comments and let me know what you're liking about the show. Just started and it's different, not what I was expecting, but really cool to see some native characters and storytelling in the show. So here's my interview with two of the actors from that show. Okay. It's pretty exciting. I'm loving the show so far. For people out there in my audience that haven't heard of you or haven't seen you in Resident Alien yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I'm Kaylayla Raine. I play Jay on Resident Alien. Asta's 12 Tree's biological daughter. Jay's a bit of a shit disturber. I don't know if I can say that, but yeah. That's my personal description. Yeah, bleeding heart.
So is acting something you always wanted to do? How did you get into this?
Well, I went to it wasn't something I always wanted to do, but I mean, I always loved to put on a show. I always loved to tell stories. That's what I really love to do is tell stories. And I went to a high school that had a really strong intensive theater program and film program. And so that really kickstarted all of this. I met my agent through that. Right after I left high school, I auditioned for this show and I booked it, and it's just been a ride ever since then.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on that. That's cool.
Thank you.
And being on a show like this, have you been a sci-fi fan, or what's it been like being in this genre?
Oh, I love sci-fi. I'm a big sci-fi fan. My mom and I used to watch Firefly, so it was very cool find out that Alan was on the show.
Yes.
I remember seeing the picture and showing my mom the picture, and I didn't clock in my head quite who he was. And my mom was like, you know who that is, right? Because he was like our favorite character in Firefly. But yeah, Firefly, Doctor Who, like all of the Star Trek, all of the stuff. We were a big sci-fi house.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, when I when I saw him, the same thing. I was like, wait a minute, I know him from somewhere. And my wife kept saying, "Oh, you think he looks familiar? You think he's the guy in Rent?" I'm like, "No, I know he's not Rent." And yeah, it took me a minute. I was like, "Oh my God, it's been a while since I have watched Firefly. Now I kind of want to go back and watch it." And I've tried to get my daughter to watch it. She won't watch it.
Oh, what?
I know. I know. She's big into Star Wars and other stuff, but she won't watch Firefly.
One day, one
One
day.
day, yeah. Anyways, well, I mean, you're on an amazing cast, and you're acting alongside a native legend like Gary Farmer. What's it been like being in this ensemble?
Well, let me tell you, my mom was really stoked. My mom was so excited that Gary Farmer was my grandpa.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I obviously, I've seen Smoke Signals, that's
Hmm.
kind of like mandatory reading. But somehow I've got, I don't know, I've got bad facial awareness at times. And so I didn't clock that either, that it was the same guy. And my mom had to do the same thing where they were like, you know who Gary Farmer is, right? Um, so it's been a blast. It's been a blast. He's got his own style that I just simply love working. He is, I don't want to say he's exactly what you think he's gonna be, but he's down to earth, he's grounded. He comes in, he does his thing. He's just got the good energy. It's been awesome. Really, it's
That's
such a
cool.
great cast.
Yeah, it really is. It's pretty cool to watch and see you guys. Well, something I always talk to folks about is the importance of Native representation, and we've seen a real influx in Native storytelling in the last few years in TV and film, but we're still not all the way there, right? There's still some hurdles we need to have overcome. Being a young actor, who were those role models, or who did you look up to, kind of figuring out your path in this?
Mm, if I'm being honest, I'm not there aren't that many.
Right.
Um, there haven't been that many for me. I look up to um I look up to a lot of people in my community, and people that teach me in community. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any actors in particular that I really felt like I was able to look
Yeah.
up to. I'd love to see more
Well,
of
that's the
that.
issue, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I love that we do have this is really an explosion of native stories being featured. I'm, like yourself, you didn't have anybody really to look up to as you're coming through. Imagine what in 10 years Native youth are going to be able to do because they have people like you to see. Reservation Dogs and Rutherford Falls and all these other shows. They have now they can see past. So I'm hoping that we will continue this upward increase in stories. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, me too. Me
Yeah.
too.
And so, I've looked at some of your socials and things, and I know you're an activist, and you've been involved in several issues. Is that something that you feel like is important with this platform, is to be involved and to make an impact?
I think it's important for all of us, platform, no platform. I think there's an inherent responsibility when you develop a platform as part of your brand, your career, whatever. I do think that there is a responsibility to use that. But as individuals, I believe that each and every one of us is accountable to our communities, and that each and every one of us is responsible for taking action, to ensure that we have a planet, to ensure that people are in our communities are well and safe and looked after.
Yeah. And so I guess if you want to put in a plug, what are some of the groups you're working with now?
Mm, well, I work with or I'm a big supporter of Stop the Sweeps, which initiative to prevent displacement of people tenting on the streets and in encampments as a result of systemic failures and ongoing colonization of Indigenous peoples here on Turtle Island. I work with anti-occupation groups that are focused on work all over the world. Trans Mountain Pipeline, I have obviously a personal relationship to that development because it's going through my family's territory. And so those are some of off the top of my head, just
Yeah.
there's so many grassroots organizations that are doing work everywhere, all over Turtle Island, all over the world. I always, lean towards grassroots organizing and supporting the initiatives of grassroots organizers because those are the people in the streets. Those are the people talking to the people.
And going back to the native representation issue, uh, for those, if there's a young lady out there watching, or somebody that's kind of wanting to get into this, what would be your advice for these, these kids kind of looking to become an actor or to even try to go down this path?
I think it's really important to know who you are before you welcome the whole world's opinions on who you are. To have a support system in place because you never know when you're going to go from 0 to 100. And it's really important to know that if that happens, if something unexpected comes into your life, that you have people around you who are going to hold you accountable and who are going to hold you up and who are going to hold you just in general, because it's hard to invite opinions.
Yeah, I love that. I think it is so important to figure out who you are before you even try to act or put yourself in the spotlight. Well, thank you for the time. I'm going to be watching. I'm hoping you got to work in some Firefly Easter eggs now that I know. Um, but thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been a blast.
All
Talk
right.
to you soon, hopefully. Take care.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye.
I'm Trevor Carroll, and I currently live in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And originally, I'm from Northern Ontario, Canada.
Nice. We were just talking about the picture that you saw, my profile picture there. That was actually taken right outside of Vancouver. So we were just on a cruise coming into Vancouver. So
Nice.
yeah, great area. I'm hoping to get back there this summer and spend some more time there. It's such an amazing area. Hopefully we can spend a couple days this time. So,
Mhm.
well, tell me, so was acting, is this always something you've done, or is this a more recent thing?
Um, I just got kind of jumped into it. Originally, I was in the casting world. I was behind the camera, like filming actors. So I mean,
Right.
seen them like for a number of years. I was almost doing it for like 10 to 15 years, and then I decided to like kind of jump in front of the camera and just got the ball rolling and got my acting bug kind of filled out here.
And I'm always curious, when I see somebody like, especially in a sci-fi role, is sci-fi something you've like, were you directing and working behind the camera on sci-fi stuff, or was this just an opportunity to jump into the sci-fi world?
Just my opportunity to jump in to the sci-fi world, but behind the camera also, I've been like directing and producing like mixed martial arts events. So
Hmm.
my other business practice is like a mixed martial arts event that you'd see on the UFC Fight Pass. So this is two completely different ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the sci-fi world, it's such a niche world. And it has such devoted fans that when I see somebody come into that world, it's interesting to see how has been the reaction to you being in this role and your character. How are fans reacting to it?
I think Mm, it's hard to say, to be honest with you. I don't know how fans react to me, but I know there's always been like a really great following for Resident Alien, and I
Hmm.
know the fans, they just go nuts for the show. So just getting the opportunity to interact and like to meet people that have seen the show has been like a really great opportunity for me.
Yeah, I've mentioned a couple times to my followers that I've been able to interview some of you guys, and the first response is always like, "Ooh, Firefly. You know, that's their first response is they know the show because they were fans of Firefly, and so many people came over to you guys from there. So that's really a really cool connection.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your character and your role. If people haven't watched it, well, I mean, what is your tell us about your character a little bit?
Yeah. So my name is John. I'm the life partner for Liv Baker, who's the deputy of Patience, Colorado. Um, in the wintertime, I'm working at the snow patrol with Darcy, and in the summertime, I operate the boat rentals and hiking rentals at the in the lake. Yeah.
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 And you're connected to Darcy, so your character is kind of right there in the middle of the action. Don't mean, of course, we don't give away too much spoilers, but you're right there, kind of in the action, or right there with the alien or the star of the show, right?
Right, yeah. So I mean, obviously, I get to see a lot of the stuff that's happening with the story, and like I haven't personally in the story discovered that Harry's an alien yet. So I mean,
Right.
I get to see, how everyone's interacting with each other, and like Harry's I think for my character, Harry is just a really odd character, and I haven't had like a ton of interaction with him, but just the times that I have, he just seems really peculiar, I guess.
Peculiar. Good
But
word. Yeah.
yeah, but I guess in general, like yeah, I get to see everything that's happening in the town, and like for me, my partner, obviously being the deputy, she has like an inside knowledge of like everything that's going on in the town, all the like dark secrets and stuff. So I have like also an intimate knowledge of things that are happening as well.
Yeah, that's a cool role. I like it. Well, I have to ask too. I mean, you're in a cast of some really incredible people like Gary Farmer and the other native actors on the film. So what's it been like to be a part of that ensemble and work with other native actors?
For me, right? I just feel like I'm here and those other guys are up there. So like getting the opportunity to work with somebody like Gary Farmer, who's, a legend in the film
Right.
industry, has had such a successful career. Interacting with him, talking with him behind the scenes about some of the stuff that he's done, but then our like things that we have in common, et cetera, is like really a great opportunity for me. And then also seeing the rest of the Indigenous cast, performing as well. We've got such a talented crew.
Yeah.
They're working, Sarah Podemski, Jennifer Podemski. Yeah, all these talented performers are just, elevating, Indigenous performers up to another level.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to watch. I haven't made it through the whole 3 seasons yet, but it is really cool to see. And you know, we talk a lot on PowWows.com about how important representation is. And so, you can't kind of coming up from behind the scenes and behind the cameras. What was it like for you? I mean, did you have any role models coming up, or was this something just you just kind of was able to find your own path, or were there other inspirations for Indigenous people that you were able to look to?
Yeah. How much time you got? I mean, it's a long, it's a like a bigger story, but one day while I was filming auditions, I got a call to like go to a hotel, and they didn't tell me anything about it, and I go up to the top floor, and it's Lou Diamond Phillips.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I got to film his audition for like something a project, and then seeing him, man, perform. I mean, I watched some of the stuff that he'd done like early in his career, La Bamba, Young Guns, the big hit, and
Right.
seeing him, I was like awestruck. And I think kind of that opportunity um, to work with him there, it kind of like helped, push me in that acting direction. And then I got an opportunity to work with him like a couple of years later on set, and I just talked to him like briefly about it and said that um, you know, him meeting him that one time in his hotel room really kind of like pushed me forward. And it was really like a full circle thing where I got to, talk to like somebody that helped push me in that direction.
That's awesome. I think it's a really cool thing. We're seeing a lot of new Indigenous stories come out, right? Whether it's Reservation Dogs or Rutherford Falls, Killers of the Flower Moon. For me, I really like this show, and I'm curious to hear your perspective, because it's taking the indigenous characters and not putting them in a reservation setting or whatever. Like Gary Farmer plays, he's just the guy that works in the or owns the diner, right? He's just another guy in the town.
It's this like it's this insurgence of, indigenous storytelling, which is really great. I mean, it's been happening in the last like 5 to 10 years
Yeah,
where, we're telling indigenous stories, but they're contemporary, but also they're showing that we're just like real people. I
right.
mean, to be honest with you, like, I mean, obviously there's indigenous people that live on reservations, but there's, a whole population of us like mixed in with like, rural areas and like living in the major cities, et cetera, et cetera. So, seeing this done in like a contemporary way, but also like a tasteful and authentic way is really refreshing.
Yeah, it's really cool to see this. It's a very authentic story. It is just it's just you're just people. That's really cool. Well, for anybody out there that's watching that maybe, I always want to point to the young actors, maybe the young filmmaker out there. Any advice for you have for them as, trying to find their career path?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to do something, I mean, you have to put 110% into it. I mean, you got to really like, you can't dip your toes in. You got to jump in like 110%. So, if you want to be an indigenous filmmaker, I mean, you got to immerse yourself into this 100%. Then same thing if you want to be an indigenous performer or writer, et cetera, you have to give it 110% if you want to make it somewhere. And then there's always going to be like ups and downs, regardless of whatever career you decide to take. But, you just have to persevere and feel that the people that, are consistent with their work,
Hmm.
they end up making it to the top. And it's not like they just jump from one point to the other. You can never expect to like jump from one point to another. You just have to consistently work your way all the way up to the top.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to catching the rest of season 3 soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. I appreciate NBC and Sci-Fi for making this possible to be able to interview these 3 actors. I hope you enjoyed that. Go check out the show. Also, if you don't forget, we do have a contest going right now, PowWows.com/win. If you use this bonus code 228918, you get special entries that only people watching this show tonight will get access to. So there's your little secret for staying to the end. But I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for being here. I will see you soon.